Okay, welcome to the inaugural video of the Sword in the Tome. This is David, and in this video I'm going to review the Night Angel Trilogy by Brent. For those of you who haven't read the series, the majority of my review will be spoiler-free. I'll discuss my general impressions of the books, including what I felt were their pros and cons. Then I'll rate each book, and finally I'll let you know when it's time for spoilers so that I can share with you my favorite moment from each book. In case it's not obvious, the Night Angel Trilogy is a high fantasy series whose main characters are assassins. More specifically, they're magically awakened assassins, which makes them basically on par with superheroes in terms of their abilities. With that in mind, it shouldn't come as a surprise to learn that this is a dark story. And I'm not just referring to the violence you would expect from an assassin-based series. I'm talking about detailed depictions of exploitation and torture. And women and children don't get a pass. So if you don't have a fairly strong tolerance for that sort of content, this might not be the series for you. That being said, I enjoyed this trilogy. I was hooked pretty early into book 1, and for the most part my interest was held all the way until the series' conclusion. The grim and dangerous world the story is set in proved to be the perfect stage for assassins and other miscreants. The plot was well thought out, especially in the first book, which held the most surprises for me, and the pacing never dragged, but it also never felt rushed. There's a lot of action in this series, as there should be, and all the combat either serves character development, plot development, or both. So thankfully, when I read the action scenes, I was never left with the feeling that they were hack-and-slash filler. Basically, every aspect of the series is above average to really good. That includes the dialogue, prose, characters, and world building. My main gripes about the books don't have anything to do with the writing. They're strictly about the narrative choices Brent made. The primary one being the characters who take center stage in books 2 and 3. They aren't as compelling, in my opinion, as the core group of characters in book 1. My second complaint is how much page time book 3 gives to a romance/love triangle. The whole thing felt like a genre shift into a YA love story. Not that there's anything wrong with YA romance and fantasy, but it wasn't what I wanted or expected from this series. Okay, now it's time for my ratings. Book 1, my favorite installment of the series, gets 4.5 stars. Nearly everything in that book worked for me, and if I would have found Kyler as compelling as Durzo, Logan, or Mama Kay, I probably would give it 5 stars. Book 2 gets 4 stars. Still really good, but some of the better characters from book 1 get less attention. And finally, book 3 gets 3.5 stars. I've already mentioned the romance focus that didn't play well for me. Additionally, I felt some of the environments in this installment weren't as interesting as Scenaria City was in books 1 and 2. There you have it. If you're a fan of dark fantasy action adventure, then I can recommend this series for you. And now for my favorite moment from each book. Be warned, spoilers ahead. The Way of Shadows, Chapter 33. Durzo and Mama Kay's argument in the brothel. A wonderfully horrible scene. Raw, ugly, and heartbreaking. Shadow's Edge, Chapter 60. The Order of the Garter. Logan's finest moment of the trilogy. Maybe the best moment of the trilogy. Very inspiring. I have to confess, I got misty-eyed reading it. Beyond the Shadows, Chapter 88. Latana's last-second ruby. This moment required lots of build-up in order to get the payoff right, and Brent put it together perfectly, in my opinion. I was on the edge of my seat from the beginning of the chapter to the end of it. That's my take on the series. I hope you found it helpful. If you'd like to hear more fantasy book reviews, then please subscribe to the channel.